Hey, this is Jennifer Mathis from Ellison Lane. So today we're going to talk about how to make English paper piece hexagons. These are a great little project if you want something to hand stitch while you're sitting on the couch, something to take with you in the car on a road trip. You can even do these on an airplane. So what you're going to need are a few supplies. You need paper piece templates. And you can make these on your own. I happen to use an AccuQuilt die cutter to cut my papers. Shh, don't tell. I don't use this to cut fabric. I cut my templates with these. Takes out all the guesswork. You can buy these papers online already pre-cut, or you can print out sheets of them and cut them yourself. I don't have enough time in the world to cut those pieces of papers, all those little tiny pieces myself. So I make my own this way, or I recommend buying them. You're going to need little scraps of fabric for this project too. This is a great way to use up little scraps. It's perfect for fussy cutting. If you have a little picture of something that you are dying to showcase, hexagons are a great way to do that. I'm going to use this fabric with a mustache to make the perfect 1-inch hexagon. It will showcase that little stash just perfectly. The other things you need are a needle and thread and some small scissors. Now, hexagons come in different shapes and sizes, and what you might not realize is when they speak of a 1-inch hexagon, they're talking about 1-inch sides. So don't be confused. You might be thinking the diameter is going to be 1 inch, but that's not true. So I'm going today to be showing you how to make 1.5-inch hexagons and 1-inch hexagons. So let's get started. Now, when you make your pattern pieces, your templates, you can make them out of scrap paper. You can also make them out of those inserts that come in magazines. You can make them out of old manila folders. Something that has a little bit of weight is better because you can use them over and over again. So some cardstock, something like that. But if that's not what you have, if all you have is copy paper, that will work too. Place your template on the back of your fabric. This is a great chance to showcase a fussy cut, something that you want to spotlight on the fabric and on the shape itself. So today I'm going to work with this little mustache. And this is very easy to do. You will take your thread and you will fold your fabric and crease it with your fingers over the edges of the template. And that's all there is to it. You take your needle and thread, and at about 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch from the edge, between the two seams, simply make a stitch, pulling your thread taut, and work around the hexagon as you go, folding the paper, holding the seams, making a stitch. And you can see with my black thread that I am pulling it taut as I go. Fold as you work around, take a stitch. Now I am not sewing through the papers. I am just sewing through the fabric. Folding as I go, taking a stitch, pulling as I go along. Don't pull too tightly or else your paper will buckle. But you want it to be tight and not have any excess. And back to the last corner. It should sort of fold itself in place. Take a stitch, and then you can either knot off your stitches here or go to where you began. But I'm going to tie mine here by making a simple loop, putting my needle through and pulling tight. These are basting stitches, so you don't need to make them perfect, and you certainly don't need to add a lot of knots as you go. So there you go. The perfect little hexagon. Making a 1.5-inch hexagon is exactly the same as making a 1-inch hexagon. In fact, it's the same technique for no matter what size you're working with. If you make a 1.5-inch hexagon, you just need to make your fabric piece a little bit larger. So this would be a 3.5-inch square, and that would be perfect for a 1.5-inch hexagon. Okay, moving on. Let's say you've been making hexagons all week and you have tons and you're ready to do something with them. What are you going to make? I think hexagons are perfect for bags, for embellishing zip pouches, for putting on a pillow, and it's also a great way to add some pizzazz to a quilt. If you take a whole cloth quilt and then applique your hexagons on top of it, it makes a really interesting design. For instance, I did this with my I Spy quilt that I made for my kids. Using 1-inch hexagons and 1.5-inch hexagons, I fussy cut the pictures and then I appliqued them on to the quilt. It makes a great fun activity no matter what you're looking for, plus the kids like to snuggle under it. So you can see hexagons are great for projects big and small. I hope you had fun today. Thanks for stopping by.